Entergalactic Ending Explained. This Netflix special followed two characters called Jabari and Meadow as they embarked on a relationship in New York City, and it moved faster than any of them could have ever expected. With it showing the impact that one person can make on your life and the integrity of yourself and your work being at the core of this movie, it made for an interesting watch. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this special. So let's get into it. Here is Entergalactic Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. This Netflix special focused on the main character Jabari as he embarked on a new chapter in his life. He'd moved into a new apartment, landed a job working for Cosmic Comics where they wanted him to create a comic book on a character that he created called Mr. Rager, and he'd drawn a line with his ex-girlfriend Carmen and wanted to just be friends. As the special went on, we saw Jabari enter a casual relationship with his neighbor Meadow, who also worked within the arts industry as a photographer, and it was here where we saw parallels between the pair occurring, and the true meaning of the special start to come out. One key thing about this movie was integrity, whether that be the artistic integrity that was being questioned when Jabari took the role on at Cosmic Comics when Lynn mentioned about how he'd need to change the character in order to fit in, and would have ultimately meant that what Mr. Rager stood for would have been compromised. We saw this playing out on Jabari's mind when the original Mr. Rager was attacking him in his dream, and the new and polished and corporate-friendly version of Mr. Rager in the white suit saved him, making him a character that was unrecognizable. And we also saw this with transitions later on. We also had this with the worry plant that was given to him, when it was growing in the background of the shots, showing that he didn't know what to do, he felt out of his depth, and it was a prominent part of his mind at that time. Meadow also mentioned to Jabari that he shouldn't let them Deadpool his character, insinuating that it should stay true to who it was and the original intentions of the creation of Mr. Rager. Another element of integrity came from the relationship that was forming between Jabari and Meadow. We saw them rapidly form a connection and experience a feeling like no other. However, we saw that a message that his ex-girlfriend Carmen sent him was what led to turbulence between himself and Meadow, and as fast as they formed a connection, it grew awkward despite the fact that they still cared for each other deeply. It was a misunderstanding of what the message meant. This was what led Meadow to cut off completely from Jabari. And it also tied into what was mentioned earlier on to the other individual who hadn't properly cut off from his ex-girlfriend, when they stated that you have to do it properly, otherwise you're not on the same page. And this is what we saw happening between the both of them. Jabari eventually went to Carmen and cut off completely. Both Meadow and Jabari had integrity for themselves and each other. Meadow respected herself and didn't want to be taken for a ride, and Jabari understood where she was coming from and gave her the space that she needed, showing that it was deeply ingrained within both of them in their art and their personal life. The feelings that they held for each other were extremely apparent after they parted ways, as we saw a selection of clips where the behaviors were the exact same, and they were speaking the same words to their friends about each other, as the clips were alongside each other. The incorporation of the dating app Stush was something that was also present in the movie quite a lot, in the sense that it was supposed to show you who your perfect match was, and most people were on there. It was heavily advertised all around the city. However, it was positioned in a way where people can get away with not being their authentic self and leaving it up to an app to find the perfect match, when in reality all that was needed was a genuine human connection. The frustration with it was made clear when Lynn mentioned how the app kept getting it wrong for him. As we embarked on the final chapter of the special, we saw that Jabari's comic Mr. Rager was loved by the bosses at Cosmic, and it was the version that they hired him for, not the inauthentic version that Lynn said he should go with. We also saw that Jabari's worry plant was essentially dead, and was dying all the time that he was with Meadow, showing that Meadow was the person who he truly needed in his life, and brought out the good within him. Meadow was speaking at her exhibition in the gallery that she was working towards, where she was hoping that Jabari would have arrived. During her speech about being able to stop a moment in time, moments getting too big, doing the wrong thing and then it passing, he did actually arrive. When Meadow was making the speech, she was referring to what had happened in her time with Jabari, rather than the meaning behind her exhibition, although it meant the same thing. Jabari was in the audience watching Meadow making the speech, and we saw him leave and incorporate Mr. Rager onto a billboard, where it referenced the burger being the second best burger in the city, meaning that he was heading towards the place where Meadow took him on their first date. where he had a burger that was vegan and he didn't expect it to taste that good. We saw Meadow head there with the both of them having flashbacks of their time together. And then when both of them arrived, they embraced each other, shared a kiss, and it looked as though they were going to be together, forgetting all that had meant that they drifted apart. The final shot that we had of the movie was of two billboards, one of Mr. Rager, Jabari's character, and another which contained a photograph that was in the style of what Meadow could have taken, showing that the pair of them are not only together in a romantic sense, but also from an artistic standpoint, showing that they were perfect together. I really enjoyed this Netflix special. The art style was extremely unique, and the texturing of the scenes and the characters was very detailed and one of a kind. I loved the way that words would often appear on screen. The art style would alter depending on what was being spoken, and also the transitions between scenes. It was seamless and easy on the eye. The soundtrack containing the new album was perfect and worked really well, as both visuals and audio complemented each other nicely and allowed each individual medium to shine well. The sound outside of the album, such as the sound effects, were also used extremely well and as a way of making you feel the transitions as they were happening, or the impact when it was made, transporting us to what we were watching. Both Jabari and Meadow as characters had enough depth to be able to enable us to enter their mind, understand their motives and intentions, and root for them both. They were humans with struggles, desires, and the want to be true to themselves without compromising the other, or the work that they did. Something that people can often face and do battle with. What they were experiencing was something that most people do experience, getting caught up in a relationship, traveling at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and before you know it, you're caught up in the intergalactic realms of not knowing how you even got there. The delivery of the characters were convincing, strong, and made you feel like you'd known them for a while, despite only being a fly on the wall for around 4 weeks of their life. The movie being split into chapters was something that I didn't think was necessary, but I feel it was a way of marking the passage of time, and it allowed us to see that time had passed between the last time that we were with them. Although it was only a snapshot of their life, it was all that was needed to finish with the satisfying conclusion that it had with them, realizing that they did work well together and that they needed to roll with the momentum that it was moving at, as that was natural for them. I'd recommend giving this movie a watch. It's marked as a special, and it is. There's nothing on the platform like it, and it's a visual and audible experience that takes you on a real journey. I'd be intrigued to see if Netflix decide to do anything like this in the future, as I feel as though this landed well and achieved what it set out to. So, there you have it, Entergalactic Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you want to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this movie? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.